Hello, everybody. I didn't want to come on today, but we have to. We have a situation brewing in Houston, Texas. I have a lot of family and friends, so we're going to go live. Apparently, has been an explosion of a pipeline forcing evacuations in the Texas suburb. We do have aerial footage at this time. Let me get that brought up. I thank you guys for hopping on. Let me get this up and going. I appreciate y'all's patience. And here we go. I don't know what's going on. I'm learning this as you are. I don't have any volume. Let me get it fixed. Is there any volume? Well, what is going on? Let me get everything. Let me double check everything. Where is the volume? Let me double check and make sure. What? Let me make sure I have volume somewhere. Okay, I do have volume in other places, so it's not me. This is the video. I'm going to continue trying to find new live feed for this. Just give me a second. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do 3 different things at once. Did my live stop? Guys, I don't know what's going on. Let me try and change live themes and see if that works. And bounce back over here. And back over here. There we go. I'll start this all over again. We only got a few
We
seconds.
begin this hour with breaking news.
There we go.
San Bernardino County under a state of emergency as the line fire continues to grow.
Yeah, more than 35,000 structures are now threatened as firefighters battle the flames and the excessive heat. KTLA's Aaron Myers is live and running.
And I have
Springs
been
this
on
morning
notice, so
with
I
the
may have to
latest. Aaron,
leave.
good morning to you. What are you learning?
Hi, you two. Good morning. Yeah, with this state of emergency, they are bringing in more resources, but officials here tell me today they are expecting some extremely difficult conditions, saying this fire is very erratic. Now, we're along the 330 North. You can see some of the area that has been charred right here behind me. Some of the guardrails are missing, and we have seen crews making their way up towards Running Springs, where it is pretty much a ghost town because that area is under a mandatory evacuation. Now, the fire has burned more than 17,000 acres. And we do have some new video we can show you. This is from earlier this morning. And resources, once again, they do continue to come up to these mountain communities, but the fire did really explode yesterday, and they are expecting that to be possible once again today. Officials say as smoke clears through the afternoon, fire activity is expected to pick up again. They tell us the smoke remains a challenge for aircraft, which is limiting access.
And by the way, guys, you see that guy right there? I used to do that. And that guy right there, that used to be me.
To parts of the fire,
Glad
and
I'm
that
not now.
limited resources and logistical support have hampered fire control
See all this gear they're wearing? I used to do that. Poor
efforts. Now,
people.
afternoon
That's miserable.
thunderstorms could also lead to new ignitions and potentially influence activity around the perimeter of the fire. Crews, though, did make progress in the nighttime hours due to higher humidity and water dropping helicopters. They even had a little rain yesterday, which helped out, but they are prepared for another tough day with difficult terrain, extremely dry vegetation, high temperatures, and the possibility of those thunderstorms. The fire
Wait a minute. That's not the same thing.
started
What the heck?
Thursday
Hold
night.
on. My bad. I clicked on the wrong one. Why did you do that? This is what I asked for you to play for me. Why is it not playing? It ain't playing. Well, let's just hop over here so you can see this. Okay, there's the pipeline. I don't know why this jumped feed. This is what I'm looking for. I appreciate y'all's patience. This happens when you try to go live on an emergency. So apparently, we have a pipeline in Houston that has erupted. Let me read a little bit. Evacuations are underway in the I'm put it over here, circa La Porte areas. Firefighters are working to put out the fire in the pipeline. Harrison County Hazmat, as well as other resources of Harrison County Fire Marshal's office, are responding to the scene. The LaPorte Office of Emergency Management says the evacuations are currently underway. San Jacinto College Central Campus has told employees and students to shelter in place until further notice. Investigators said the fire began shortly before 10 a.m. on Spencer Highway. No injuries have been reported at this time. Thank you, guys. Due to the fire, Spencer Highway is closed in both directions. Residents will be asked to avoid the area. Evacuations have been ordered for the Spencer Highway and the Fairmont Parkway between Lula and Canada Road in the Brookglen neighborhood. Crews are currently working to contain a smaller grass fire caused by the spreading flames. So what's happening here, guys, is you can see down in here. I want to get this where I can see me. As you can see, as I click here, you can see the grass fires have been spreading. And they're going to just probably let that burn out because it will eventually reach a place where there won't be any transconnected energy. Thank you, Sneaky Side. I've been in that area. So all of these people, there's a Whataburger. Yay, go Whataburger. Whataburger, by the way, is really good about providing for firefighters and situations. They're phenomenal. I want to get a video. I don't want to read it all. Let me see if I can get news live. I don't have any sound on this particular video. It's the helicopter just flying over. There is no audio to this. So we're working on that. So this just recently, let me look, videos from KTRK. That's quite a bit of damage, y'all. As you can see, here's the firefighters and the trucks. These are ladder trucks trying to protect the homes that are right here. This is something that is very scary for these neighborhoods. They're going to probably, if you can see, they're just letting this field burn, but they are going to try and keep it off of the homes, which is a very difficult job to begin with. I would not want to be there. Let me go to YouTube and see if they have any more live footage on that. As you can see here, right here where my little mouse is, a brush truck. So they're going to be gauging this field. At this point, it's not worth trying to put this particular thing out. They're just going to protect these homes. There is obviously a road here, and that road becomes a natural barrier. Um,
Estimating the flames right now are at least 3 in the Porte area. We're guesstimating the flames right now are at least 300 feet tall. We're up here at 900 feet looking down on it, but as you can see in the Porte area, we're guesstimating the flames right now are at least 300 feet tall. We're up here at 900 feet looking down on it, but
oh, I got to
as you
remove
can
that.
see,
My
it is
bad.
a massive fire. We picked it up
Sorry.
more than 10 miles away, all the way to the other side of downtown Houston. And as you can see, it is a massive fire. I don't believe that I've seen one like this from a pipeline coming out of the ground ever in the Houston area. It's got to be, I don't know, a 12-inch, maybe a 15, 20-inch pipeline in the LaPorte area. We're guesstimating the flames right now are at least 300 feet tall. We're up here at 900 feet looking down.
Okay, we'll hop on over here. Go back to that. So, guys, this right here is, look at the car. Gone. This is like a bomb went off. And the thing is in order to tap that, do y'all remember when all the oil wells in Saudi Arabia and all that are blazing during the Gulf War? This is what those oil lines look like. This is what they had to deal with, and some of them burned forever. So they're going to have to come in through the side. They're going to have to come in and clamp it off through the side. And it is going to be a very, very difficult task, a very, very dangerous task. And so we really just need to be very, very prayerful for those who are having to deal with that.
This is a live picture we're about to show you from LaPorte. It's about 25 miles southwest of Houston. Firefighters are battling a pipeline fire in a neighborhood. You can see the houses there. It sparked grass fires and burned power poles. Firefighters are there, it looks like, trying to keep some of the houses, some of the yards wet to keep that fire from spreading. The cause, though, of the fire is not immediately known. We will continue to follow this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we've got Bob Cavanaugh on the phone right now, an oil and gas expert. Bob, thank you for joining
Thank
us. Can
you.
you hear me?
Yeah, good
Hello,
to be
Bob.
with you. Thanks.
Let's jump right in here. Give us a sense, the network of pipelines. What are we looking at here? I mean, how intricate are these networks, these system of pipelines across our area?
In this part of the world, there are pipelines everywhere, and you can see by the video that you're showing. I've got it up on my screen here. I'm not really ignoring you. I'm looking at my other screen. This is a big right away. You can see a power line there. Typically, what happens, and especially in highly populated areas, they'll combine right of way. So they'll have a pipeline, they'll have product lines, they'll have power lines, all in this same particular area. Number of utilities on it, including power and pipelines. The way the fire looks with the smoke, it looks like a product or a crude line, and not natural gas. Natural gas doesn't tend to burn that dirty. So with the black smoke, I assume this is a product line. This is a pretty serious fire, obviously, and they should be able to shut the pipeline off. I'm not sure why it's been going this long, unless they're having a hard time getting to terminal valves. Each pipeline system has valves where you can close in case there is a leak. So it must be either a long distance from where the valve is, where this fire is, or they haven't been able to identify which line it is yet.
Bob, for those just tuning in right now, as we continue to watch this pipeline fire in LaPorte, they're near Spencer Highway in Somerton. How concerned should residents in that area be? I know we're awaiting more direction from local authorities, but what is the concern level here by your estimation?
Well, there's good and bad about being on fire. The good thing about being a fire is you don't have any liquid product contaminating the ground around, but it does burn super hot, and so there's a lot of danger within hundreds of yards of this fire. You can see how the yards and houses around this area are starting to smoke from the heat. These fires are very intense. And so they actually pose a serious danger for quite a radius around this fire. So they need to clear the area.
In terms of the response that we're seeing right now, we could see that fire crews are there close to the scene, relatively close to the scene. How do you attack something like this?
The only way you can stop a fire like this is to get the fuel shut off. You've got to get the pipeline closed. And that's their biggest challenge right now is to identify which line is leaking. And they should be able to see that because all these pipelines, and there's thousands of pipelines in this part of the world going to all these chemical plants and refineries and all these different facilities. They'll be able to monitor and see which pipeline is actually leaking, but getting to the shop, it could be a challenge, especially if it's close and they're having a hard time accessing it. But you can't really fight this fire with fire trucks and hoses. Water because the fire is just too intense, and once the fire gets started, you've really got to
can't get that close
to get it to stop.
And pardon the redundancy, sir, if you already have mentioned this, but do you expect there to be word to residents in the area to evacuate? Would you anticipate that news?
That's what I would anticipate. So something like this, you really want to clear the area because one of the dangers here is the power line also. Because sometimes,
but you can see right here,
burns and separates, it causes damage up and down that line, the power line.
There's
itself.
the line right
so
there.
Then you have high tension wires with the power plus
right here's your power line
fire. So it does provide pose a really serious risk to the people around this area. It's clearly one where people
look at the
need to
pole
be
here
away
is
from
bending
and not staying
it's
out
so
and
hot.
watching. They need to get back from it and let the fire department and the pipeline company get it under control.
Yeah, we can see toward the top left of the screen there, firefighters spraying water on some nearby structures there. Once they're able to turn off the fuel source, Bob, kind of walk us through what the next steps would be in terms of an investigation.
Well, the primary thing that needs to be done first is to get everybody safe. And then once the fire is out, to make sure everybody in the area is safe and away from the area. And then they have to determine what the cause of the leak was, plus assess the damage. You know, there could be product on the ground before it caught fire. Typically what will happen if a pipeline like this ruptures, it'll just flow the liquid or flow the gas until something sparks it and causes the fire. And so you'll have chemical damage, damage from the crude or the product or whatever this is flowing. You'll have surface damage, plus you'll have a lot of fire damage. It looks like with the houses so close to this right-of-way, there's going to be some pretty serious structural damage, it looks like. In terms of investigating, typically what we'll do in the pipeline business is we'll go to root causes. You know, we'll look at the maintenance records, we'll look at the product that was in the line, when the last time this line was inspected. We run now they have electronic, we call them electronic pigs, that you actually pump through the line that you can evaluate damage on the inside of the pipeline. So they'll probably do that, plus they'll investigate what happened outside the pipeline. A lot of these accidents happen if there's work going on. If somebody's digging, there's a backhoe there, some piece of equipment, sometimes they'll puncture a line. It's pretty rare that a pipeline just ruptures. There's either some serious structural damage there or somebody hit the line and caused a hole.
Bob, of course, we're waiting to hear what exactly.
I can't.
You hear us okay? I apologize.
Sorry, just one. Yeah, just one last thing. I don't see any equipment around the fire. Of course, it's kind of hard to tell with all the smoke. So I don't suspect that it's some kind of a construction accident. It looks like a failure.
What are your thoughts on concerns about air quality right now?
The good thing about the fire is that it's burning most of the contaminants, but you still have a lot of smoke. It does cause a huge air quality problem, and that just takes time to clear out with wind, surface winds, and those kinds of things. So it's important to stay away from this area, especially not knowing what the product is, the carcinogenic product, if there's hazards to individuals with the smoke and the heat. And so it's important for everyone just to stay away from this until they get it under control and figure out what it is. Then I think the authorities can decide if they need to maintain evacuation until the air clears or undertake other remedial action.
Yeah, and we certainly know that the county has those mobile air quality testing units, and as well as the TCEQ will likely get involved as well in terms of monitoring the air quality there. So still a lot of unknowns at this point. Pipelines like this, are they equipped with any sort of alarm or warning system, especially given how close this particular network of pipelines is to the homes there?
And in these days, there's what we call remote telemetry. And telemetry monitors all the pressures and flow rates and temperatures of the product in the line and the line themselves. So someone in the control center should have known instantly that there was a problem here. It's very unusual that a pipeline, especially in this highly populated area, would not be monitored on a 24-hour basis. So I'm sure they recognize the rupture immediately. And a lot of times they'll get the pipeline shut off, and it still takes some time for that fuel to burn off that's in that closed off section. So sometimes it'll burn for quite a while after they get the pipeline shut in. I don't see the flames reducing at this point yet, so I'm not sure the pipeline's actually closed in, because this is a pretty serious fire. There's no question about it.
And how difficult would it be for the pipeline company to identify the source of the leak so that they can turn off the fuel source?
They should know it immediately. And these kinds of big product pipelines that are in the LaPorte area and all along the ship channel, they're monitored on a continuous basis, and each line is identified in the control center, so they should know pretty quickly where the leak is. They may be looking for where the shut-off points are, because each pipeline has shut-off points where you can isolate a certain section of the pipeline. And so I'm sure they know where it is. They're just trying to get it shut off. And I would expect that flame to reduce here pretty quickly, unless there's some other problem that obviously we can't tell from watching it on the screen. That there's some other mechanical issue that prevents it from being shut in.
Yeah, it certainly is difficult to tell, because this was reported right around 10 o'clock this morning, and here we are at almost 11:30, so 90 minutes into this. And as you pointed out, Bob, it is still burning strong.
Yeah, it is. I don't see any of the flame reducing yet. Well, once they get the pipeline shut off, it should reduce pretty quickly. Well, that's quite a picture right there by the power lines.
And we've just learned, Bob, that Harris County Pollution Control is on the scene right now. And as I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, I suspect that the TCEQ will get involved in this as well and bring their own air monitoring equipment to the scene.
Right, and there will be local, state, and federal investigations as to what happened here. And the thing about the oil and gas industry, especially on the pipeline side in populated areas, is that they very thoroughly investigate these kinds of incidents to keep them from happening again, because nobody wants an accident like this for sure, because it endangers property and it endangers people, and it really causes a lot of damage when you have a leak like this.
And again, Bob, you said that they should know immediately what the fuel source is to shut that off. Are you surprised that it's taken 90 minutes and we're still watching this go? And what do you think is the reason for that?
It depends on how far apart the shut-off valves are, where they have different pumping stations and monitoring stations and meter stations all along these pipelines. And so they have a diagram in the control room where all the valves are and where all the intersections. I'm looking at. Sorry, this is. There's production equipment. Cannot be a well. This has got to be a pipeline. This has got to be a monitoring station. That was a good picture right there. The helicopters you put on the site itself. So it looks like it's got to be a meter station or some kind of an intersection of pipelines. And sometimes those lines are above ground, and sometimes they're just right below ground. It's hard to tell from the fire if this is coming from a manifold that's above surface or if it's from below. But I didn't see any equipment or like backhoes or anything around the well. So this looks like a mechanical failure, just looking at it on the screen.
And certainly that'll be a key part of the investigation. So the companies that operate these networks of pipelines, certainly they have to anticipate that something like this is going to happen. What do they do on their end to prepare for an event like we're seeing today?
Normally what companies like this do is they'll run emergency exercises on a regular basis. And sometimes they're planned and sometimes they're not planned. And a lot of times what we would do in especially in populated areas like this is we run a no notice drill, which means the crews will get a call at 4 o'clock in the morning and they'll simulate an accident like this to where they'll practice the procedure. So which valve do you close?
Okay, I'm going to switch streams real quick, guys, because we have structurals integrities.
Are safe at this time. And a little bit earlier, as we were just getting here, there were
See the
some
rooftop?
students here at this campus that were outside just wanting to take a look at that big fire. I'm sure they had seen some of the coverage and some stuff on social media, but then law enforcement officials called out at them and asked them to go back inside as there is a shelter in place. Again, right now we are waiting for official information. They did tell us that this is the spot that they want us at, and they're going to be setting up a command post here. Several other crews are here as well, and we will be providing more information as soon as
Here
we
comes
get that. For now,
hazmat.
we're going to toss it to Pat.
All right, thank
Forestry
you, Maria.
Service
I just want
hazmat.
to talk about air quality. I think that's top of mind for everyone here. So we've got the latest.
So apparently
air
this
quality map,
house
and
got a
it
little
really,
bit
the
of
news couldn't be better for this
damage.
area, believe it or not.
That house there has got damage.
The latest information from the monitoring service that gives us these maps is that air quality is
Here's
actually
where they are,
good.
right here. La Porte, right there. If you can see my mouse just south of his hand, almost southeast of his hand.
Around Galveston Bay, and that does include the LaPorte area. Obviously, this map is not high resolution enough to get down into the neighborhood level, so there are probably some issues in the immediate vicinity of this fire. But
Thank you, Trial
all
TV
in all,
Live.
the reason why air quality is not being affected
Ooh,
so
that's a
great-
good. Let's pause and look at that. That is severe damage. Look at the vehicles. They got damage. Probably a lot of blown windows. That would be a number one thing that could happen. But as you can see, this house definitely is damaged. I pray that, well, nobody's injured at this
lately is
point that
because
we know
winds
of.
are very light, generally around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And you see in the chopper shot there on the right hand side of the screen, the smoke
here's
is
the
not
second house
blowing
is on
around
fire.
a lot, and so we're not seeing.
We have a
other
fire on
neighborhoods
house number
impacted.
2.
And there's also, I've been talking about this all morning, there's no inversion or cap in the atmosphere that would prevent this smoke from just
Oh
going
no,
straight up.
y'all. Okay, let me explain something. When you see fire coming out, by the way, those who are joining, I'm Ada Kay. I am a volunteer firefighter. So, and I'm a wildland certified firefighter. And I can tell you right now, this is not good for those
and
homes.
dispersing into the upper atmosphere. So we're not seeing it hang near the ground. We're not seeing it hang in these neighborhoods. We're not seeing it kind of hug these communities, which is the best case scenario for a situation like this. But obviously the heat very intense from this fire.
Man, that
If
sucks.
you want, we can take the chopper shot full behind me and we can actually take a look at some of these firefighting efforts. You can see, unfortunately, a few
See
of these
the
homes
fires coming
are
through the
succumbing
attic,
to
coming out the
heat.
vents.
This is actually just heat related, I would imagine, because these homes are so close to the fire. So here's the grass fire. This is East Meadows
No,
Park.
sir.
And
No,
then
sir.
just
That's not
across the
heat
street from
related.
That is where the fire is. And our Troy Kless, he's about a half a mile away from this
Heat
fire.
coming out the
He was
seams.
describing how intense you could feel the heat there.
Look at the
And
grass.
all of these tower ladders have been
It's
here
fine,
for the
but there's
past
not.
hour and a half. just dousing these homes in water because the heat is so intense from this. Think about you're sitting near a campfire, how hot that
A
heat
kid
feels
park.
radiating away. Imagine you're next to a jet of gas-fueled fire that's shooting 500 feet into the air, the amount of heat that that's going to produce. So that is likely what ignited all of this grass fire here. Again, this is East Meadows Park, the playground completely torched
Yes.
as the grass fire spread there. And the firefighters on the ground right now, their primary concern here is to douse the back of these homes here that butt up against this grass area where the pipeline runs underneath to make sure
Okay.
that we don't see further.
I'm going to pause. See, the electric line is down here. That is a big concern. So you heard the gentleman earlier talking about the power lines. They have power lines like right next to it, and you see a power pole. When you get to, let me get this, get this to, you're going to have a power pole that's bent over in a minute. If I can get a view of it, I'll switch it over.
Further damage here. And so far, it looks like they're doing a great job. Fire, though, is starting to encroach upon the backyards here. You can see the fence line here totally burned out. And so firefighters are trying to make sure that this is where the fire stops. They're trying to create
That's
a fire
true.
line to
Oh,
protect these structures
you guys.
from becoming
Okay, guys.
casualties
If
of
you ever learn anything that from this, see that thatched roof. If you live near any kind of a gas line, you don't want a thatched roof. That they are so lucky that has not exploded
this
into
fire. But you can see, look at
flames.
the intense heat from this melting the plastic shed back here
Mhm.
in the backyard of this home. So, I mean, firefighters, even though they're not focusing on the actual pipeline fire, they have their work cut out for them trying to save these homes in here. The tower ladders spraying the water from a good distance. And again, just trying to keep these homes intact. So a really dynamic situation out here, Sherman, trying to make sure that this situation doesn't get any worse than it already is.
Yeah, and sad to say, it looks like the heat from that fire has now jumped to the west side.
Okay. See this pole right here, guys? There's a pole right there. That is a pole that's sticking straight up. And then you see another line. So they had multiple power lines right up against this well,
Of East
and weather
Meadows
is going to
Street,
play a big role in
because
this.
just to the west, or the top of your screen on the other side of the street there, you can see that some of the homes have
Thank
started
everybody
to
for
smoke,
joining.
and firefighters are pouring water onto the rooftops there. That the air level is now dipped down beyond that, past that shot. So now we are looking at Spencer Highway and some small businesses there. To the center of your screen,
So here's your
is the
power line
pipeline
laying
fire
down here. You
itself.
can see it.
A little bit to the left, a four-door
All of the power lines
SUV,
here are
perhaps
smoking.
a white vehicle that
I'm going to
looks
go
like
back
it
for a
was
second on that.
four-door
You
pipeline
see the
fire
power lines?
itself.
These are all
A
going to
little
have to
bit
be
to the left,
replaced. Anything
a
connected to this is now dead.
four-door SUV, perhaps a white vehicle that looks like it was caught in the blaze.
This is a
We
kids
have
park and
not
a
heard of
walking
any
track.
injuries, thankfully, so far. So fingers crossed that continues to be the
And
case.
then you have
Setting
two
the scene
homes
a little bit
smoking.
to your left, you see that East Meadows Park, a little pocket park there that divides the utility
And you see them
easement
keeping
and
water on
this
the back of these
Brook
homes.
Glen
That's going to cause a
subdivision.
lot of damage.
And the sad news is that heat has now gone to the west of that park. They were originally pouring all the water onto the homes that backed up, but now you can see that it has also impacted the roof line to the homes.
Okay, and if you can see this grass right here, they're just going to let that burn. That's a very low cut. That area is surrounded by roads, so they're not so worried about this. The further out it goes, the less it's burning, as you can tell. So they have a truck, of what's called a grass truck, over here, out of view right at the moment, that is monitoring
Just to
these.
the
It's
west of the
better
park,
just to let
across
that
the street
go
of
and
East
take care
Meadow.
of the
Steph
homes.
Hernandez
Just
sending us some
monitoring
of
the low
this
grass
video
burn.
that she shot, one of our viewers. Looks like she's relatively close, actually, to the fire. And you can see she may maybe in that Walmart parking lot. A little
Maybe
bit hard
too
to tell,
close.
But there she is giving us
Sometimes
a
news
cell
media
phone
gets in the way.
shot there of the fire going up, and Pat telling us maybe 500 feet up into the air, those flames and that smoke. But it is something that is visible for miles around. Folks driving along the local roads and the nearby beltway, no doubt clearly visible to them.
I wanted to get to this.
Just from our area here from the ground, you can see those massive flames of that
Okay,
pipeline.
here, I'll show you the grass truck. This is a truck, and then they had another truck over here. As you can see, they're just letting this burn out. It's a slow burn, and as you can see, this right here is not even moving anymore. So some people were concerned about the grass.
Look at
That's
just
not a
from our
problem.
area here from the ground, you can see those massive flames of that pipeline fire and that plume of smoke. Just
Look at
going
that telephone
straight up
pole,
into
it's
the
all
air.
bent.
This is already an extremely hot day. So even closer, I assume it's
Look at the
probably
truck
even hotter.
or the
Again,
car.
this is at the central campus of San Jacinto College,
And then this
and law
pole is
enforcement officials
bending.
have told us that this is where they're going to be giving out information. So far, no information just yet on exactly what caused this fire.
Sorry, I'm watching over here.
What are they doing right now to stop it? But again, we are here. And of course,
There we go.
this college right now is under a shelter in place, and other schools in our area are also in a shelter in place. LaPorte ISD wants parents to know that their kids are safe. They're just going to be sheltering in place until they get the all clear. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you, Sherman.
All right, thank you, Marie. We appreciate that. Our Troy Kless is also live on the scene. I understand he may be in one of the impacted neighborhoods. Yeah, there he is. He's getting set up with his
Right
phone
on the
there and has
police
had the
line.
chance to
Oh, we
speak
hate
to
it
one of
when
the
they do
residents
that.
there. Troy, there
Right
we
on
go.
that line.
Can you hear me, sir?
Not good. Okay.
Sherman, yes, we can. I'm standing next to Abel here, who lives down East Meadow Drive. Just tell me, you said your house is about 4 to 5 houses away from the playground that was impacted. Tell me, what did you see? What did you feel?
I felt a lot of heat. Felt a lot of water from them spraying down the houses to keep them wet, to keep the fire away. But yeah, it's just devastating just to see this in the back of my yard.
And was it just yourself that's living at home?
No, it's me, my wife, and my daughter, and we have 3 dogs, a cat, and a fish. Which I was able to get the 3 dogs out, but not the cat. So hopefully the cat gets out, because the back door actually had to break the back door open, or had someone break the back door open so I can get in there.
So you were at home at the time that this?
No, I wasn't at home. I was actually I got a call from a buddy of mine, and actually I was at work at the time, so I actually came home from work to get the pets out and all that.
What are you thinking when you're going up to your driveway?
I'm devastated. Hopefully my house stays intact, but and my truck is parked in my front yard too. Hopefully that stays intact too. But I mean, it's all materials
I'll go a
and
little.
stuff. I mean, it can be replaced. The only thing that can't be replaced is memories and pets, animals. So
Hopefully that your pet is okay. Just you in this neighborhood, just what was it like just learning and seeing this, and what was the response? Just describe what was happening as you're trying to get everything out of your home.
hopefully everything was okay. Hopefully it didn't get as bad as it's getting right now, but obviously that's not the case. It's looks like I don't know how worse it's going to get or could get, but right now it's heartbreaking. It is.
Did anyone give you any evacuation notice at all?
No one gave me no evacuation notice. The only way, like I said, I found out was through a friend, and he actually got the information from his wife.
So are you concerned, again, what is the main concern with just how close this fire is to your home and any impacts to your home and to your belongings right now?
Well, me and my wife, we've been in the house going on 6 years, so we kind of knew the area. We know it's a industrial area that we live at. We knew that there's pipelines behind the house, but it's one of those things where we have pipelines all over, so it's you can never say your home is always going to be 100% safe. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
What's your message to the people that own and operate this pipeline?
I just hope, for one thing, I would like to know what was going on, what caused the fire, and hopefully how soon will this issue be remedied, and will there be any future notices of any work behind the houses in the future. So yeah.
We're working to get those answers. Just you mentioned earlier you had to actually break into your home. Just why that was the case.
For one, my wife and my daughter have the keys, the only keys to the house. I gave my key to my daughter so that she can get in, because the garage is electronic guards opening. So like if the power went out, that's why I gave her my key. That way she can get into the front door. But I didn't have the key to the back door. So yeah, that's when I had to actually ask one of the police officers to break it.
So again, how long have you lived in this home?
Bought the house back in 2018 and lived in this 2024, so about 7 years.
So when you're going and breaking into your own home, how close was the flames and what did you feel?
I did feel the heat. The flames weren't that close yet, but I could see a little bit of char on my back fence.
Like you said earlier, you're not you're concerned. You're not sure what is going to be what damage is going to be dealt to your home.
Yeah, I do not know what damage because, like I said, where they had the fire, the ladder over pretty much spraying water over my house and plus several other houses with my neighbors. So what kind of damage I'm gonna have to the roof? What kind of damage? I mean, honestly, I don't know what kind of damage I'm gonna have after this is controlled, and I don't know what kind of damage I'm gonna have.
You mentioned earlier, so you got out of your truck to go break into your home. Was it just why were you not able to drive out? Or was it just a?
Well, when I got here, they had already blocked the street off right here, as you can tell right there. They had already blocked it off. So, but I was able to ask the police if I was able to go in the house to make sure if there was anything else in there, came out okay. So.
What about your neighbors as well, or how many additional homes are close to that fire?
I do have 2 to 3 neighbors to the left of the house, and I have like 2 to 3 neighbors to the right of the house. As far as the fire getting down to those houses, I honestly couldn't tell you. At least to the ones to the right of where I live at. But hopefully everyone's houses will be safe. But yeah, we just won't know until the whole fire gets contained and the line.
I know it's difficult just seeing the fire. I know it's difficult seeing the fire continuing to burn. But if any hope is, what any you have for this getting resolved?
I just hope
I'll be back. I'm going to get coffee.
I just hope that this is like a life lesson to everyone who, or not a life lesson. It's kind of hard to think of words right now, just considering got a lot going through my head right now. But I just want everyone to be safe. The firefighters, I congratulate them on doing the hard work as well as the police department and all that. I just want everyone to come out alive, come out safe. And like I said before, houses can be rebuilt, but lives can't.
Abel, I just want to say thank you so much. I can't imagine how difficult this is for you to be witnessing that firsthand, but thank you for sharing that. And we hope that, that your pets and that all your loved ones and friends are safe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherman, again, you can obviously hear just how difficult this is for people that live down this street. This is where, again, as you can see, they just put up the police tape And you can see further down the way that there are fire trucks down again here. This is off of East Meadow Drive, where obviously it's a very difficult situation. Many people watching first responders do their work. And again, obviously very difficult situation. And that's what we're seeing right now. And as you just heard Abel mention that, he could feel the heat and saw that his back fence was charred. And again, concerned that, about the status of his home. And as you also heard, one of his pets that he was not able to get when he arrived on here. And again, although he did mention that although they just belongings, it may be difficult for people to recover from whatever cost they might have to rebuild after this fire and whatever damage that it deals here.
All right, Troy, thank you very much. And of course, thank you to Abel. Tough situation, to watch your home being threatened like that. And the reality is there's nothing that a private individual can do but to sit back and watch, and fingers crossed, prayers sent that everything resolves without any more damage than we've seen so far. This note just in from the Railroad Commission, it says that pipeline safety inspectors are now en route to the incident command center for the LaPorte pipeline fire, and that they will provide updates with their investigation as they become available. We want to share now some of the evacuation information related to this pipeline fire. The East Harris County Activity Center at 7340 Spencer Highway in Pasadena. It has been set up as an evacuation shelter / cooling center for those affected by the fire. At last word, about 4,000 customers were without power because of this incident in this area. We know at last check that the highs today will be reaching in the upper 90s, so that always is a concern. We also are hearing that there is an assisted living center nearby, and there is look at evacuating the residents there, not because of concerns about the fire, but because of concerns about the heat. If they have no power, there's no air conditioning, in addition to which medical equipment and devices cannot be powered up. Our Pat Kavlin joining us now to talk about the fire, the weather conditions, and the air quality. Pat.
I was going to say, I think the top thing on everyone's mind that lives even outside of this area is, okay, we've got this pipeline fire burning. What is this doing to our air that we're breathing? So I've pulled up a map here of Harris County. So this includes the city of Houston. The fire is burning right around here. It's equidistant along Spencer Parkway between the LaPorte Municipal Airport, which is right around here, and then Beltway 8. So it's pretty much right in this area. And the good news is that air quality, at least the map that we use, the information that we're given, is that air quality is still good in this area. I just want to give you a little word of caution. This map cannot get high resolution enough down to neighborhood level. And so there probably are likely going to be some issues in that immediate area. But outside of that, this is not having a big impact on air quality for two reasons. One is the fact that there is no inversion or cap on the atmosphere, which would keep all of this smoke close to the ground. And the other is there's not a lot of wind to blow the smoke into other neighborhoods. So it's really just contained to this area where the smoke is going straight up into the atmosphere. So air quality.
This is
right
good
now
weather
in
and
green for
conditions
this area.
considering the
It's in the yellow
situation.
for the rest of Harris County, but
You
that's
don't
pretty
have high
typical
winds
for
and
what we
all
see
that
here during
going.
the summer months, not just in Houston, but really across the U.S. in major metropolitan areas. There's a live look at winds. Notice the arrows going in all different directions. That's a sign that the winds are light and variable, generally between 5 and 10 miles per hour. So again, we're not really seeing that wind blow the smoke in many different directions. If we can take the camera shot from Air 11 full behind me, we'll just kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So again, there's the pipeline fire. Here's the subdivision that Troy Kless was just doing that interview, probably from, it looks like, around this block here. And you can see what's happened is the fire is so intense that the heat actually ignited the grass around this area, even across the street. So here's Spencer Parkway. Okay, so we just got word that Deer Park ISD not impacted. This is fluid situation, live TV, any breaking updates that I get in my ear, I'm passing along to you. Getting back to what I was just saying though, the grass in the area surrounding that ignited. Firefighters are working on putting that fire out so that it doesn't spread. This is the Walmart parking lot. So if you're familiar with Spencer Parkway in LaPorte, this is right where the Walmart is. And you can see fire crews are doing two things. They're working to put out this grass fire so it doesn't spread any further.
Now
And then
they're
if we get a
working.
wider shot
Now
again,
they got
I'll show
everything
you,
else
there
stable.
are 2 tower ladders that are dousing water on the homes in this subdivision right next to the fire. So again, here's Spencer Parkway. There's the fire, and you could see everything is charred out around it. Power poles, you can see, are smoking from the fire, impacting those earlier on. And so the intense heat is the main concern now for residents that live in this area, because it's that intense heat that's igniting fires in these homes that are hundreds of yards away. That's how strong this heat is. Our Troy Kless, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago when this fire first started, he was about a half.
Okay, see what happens, and some of you probably know this and some of you may not, is even though the fire is there, as it continues to burn, it's sucking all that moisture out of the air. And that includes the wood structures across the street, that includes the grass, anything that can burn. So as that moisture gets sucked out, it becomes more and more possible for it to spontaneously combust. So the heat is so strong that things are just starting to burn on their own because it's so high, and all the moisture, the longer this burns, the more the moisture is sucked out of whatever wood or porous material that can burn. And so that is a big concern. Uh, that's why they're putting all that moisture on the homes surrounding. What concerned me is they were homes that already had smoke coming out of the attics, which means there is either A, there is already a fire in them, or B, the heat is so much that it will combust into flames. So, um, and the grass was the least of their concerns. So, since they place, obviously now they feel they have everything else sort of under control. Now they're addressing the slow grass burn that's happening.
Mile away, and he remarked on how intense the heat felt from there. So you can imagine how intense the heat is for the homes that are about 100 yards away. So this park
It's
over here,
insane.
this is East Meadows Park, completely torched from the heat. The playground equipment totally gone now because of it. And notice the fire. Again, you've got actual fire in the grass across the street from this, just from how intense.
Well, do you know why? Look at the streak that came from see the power line that's broken. That's what that came from. Um, and people are talking about all the smoking poles. When this, I got to turn myself off. When this fire happened and it exploded, it went and of course caught a lot of stuff on fire. So people are seeing these poles are smoking. They've already been burned and they're going to continue to smoke. But what's more concerning is all of the power lines here. Um, all of the power lines have a coating of protection over them, and as that burns off, that can cause some, yeah, like a magnifying glass in the sun. You got it, Jedi Jess. So the biggest concern right now are number one, the structures that are within about 100 yards, they can still combust. So that's why you see firemen putting fire on the houses before they were putting fire on the grass. I had somebody concerned about the grass fires. The grass fires are contained within roads. Okay, there's roads, and the houses are more priority, and the fires weren't moving that fast in the grass because it's a heat burn, not a it's not being accelerated. I'm not doing well with my
Intense
verbiage,
that
but
heat
that's
is. So
basically
fire crews
what
out
it
there right
is.
now trying to work on keeping this from spreading anymore. From a weather perspective, the winds are light, so we don't see that being a factor in spreading this fire. But the intense heat is really, and not the intense heat in terms of the actual air temperature, but the intense heat from this fire is making that effort very difficult for firefighters. They're putting water on the homes that are nearby, and they're also trying to stop this grass fire. But this is where the pipeline runs, right here underneath this grass. And right now we've got investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski. He's got a bit of a more
I hate to
in-depth
keep
look
stopping, but I
at
want to
what the
stop and show you something. If you can see, this grass started burning over an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, approximately 90 to 2 hours ago. For it to have only gone this far, it wasn't moving that fast. I know a lot of people were concerned because of these homes down here, But now they're just kind of putting out hot spots. The grass fire is not going to really go any further. You got a little bit of a spot here, but other than that, it's not going to go any further. The biggest concern are these homes up and down here, and of course the businesses here, and anything going this way. This gentleman is standing in the way. There was some burns this way, but they have stopped. You've got a lot of smoldering wood telephone poles going on. But the biggest thing is this kids park and these homes within 100 to 200 yards. The closer you are, like these 3 to 4 homes are the ones that you're going to be concerned about catching fire from the heat. As this continues to burn, the moisture is sucked out of the air even more and out of that wood or any burnable material. And that's why that they're dousing those with liquid to prevent them from combusting into
Flying situation
flame.
in this area looks like.
Yeah, Pat. So we are about 2.5 hours since this fire broke out at 9:55 this morning. And one of the big takeaways is nearing 2.5 hours after, officials still do not, at least they're not officially saying, do not know what is burning here. Let's give you some perspective as to perhaps why they don't know. This is a map from the Texas Railroad Commission, commonly misidentified as someone who, a regulatory agency that is in charge of railroads. No, they're actually charged of overseeing pipelines in the state. So here's Spencer Highway to the south. Here's that Walmart that Pat was just referring to. Here is that Pocket Park that was on fire, the grassy area there. Now you see a bunch of green lines going from south to north. Every single one of these is a pipeline, and many of them have different products inside. In fact, we identified at least 11 companies that own pipelines here in this utility easement, this right-of-way off Spencer Highway near East Meadows Drive, heading from south to north. Those pipelines contain the following products, chemicals or commodities: natural gas, propylene, ethylene, petroleum, crude butadiene, feedstock,
Look at all
propane,
things lines going
methanol,
in there.
natural gas, ethane, and dry gas. So you see this kind of spaghetti model of green lines, again, each one representing a different pipeline, many of them containing different petrochemical products inside. When I just got off the phone with the city of Deer Park, I said, folks, can you tell me what is burning and who owns the pipeline? They emphatically said no at this time. Obviously, it goes without saying, if you don't know what's burning, if you don't know who owns the pipeline, you're not able to find out where do we shut off the valves.
So when you have that many pipelines, you
Bruce was
shut them
saying
all.
earlier, not being able to cut off that
But
fuel
then that would
source,
cost
the supply,
millions
to mitigate
of
this.
dollars
So
per
it continues
hour.
to burn as we approach 2.5 hours. But again, 11 companies at least owning pipelines in this area. Hard to see on this map, but all of them say highly volatile liquid. And again, at least 11 different products that could be burning inside. Hopefully we'll get official confirmation from emergency management offices in Deer Park to say, here's what's burning. We've been in contact with the company. They're working to identify where the shutoff valves are, and it's going to take this long. Right now, we don't know any of that. Sherman?
All right, thanks, Jeremy. We did get word that the Railroad Commission is sending inspectors and they're en route. So we will keep an ear to the ground on when they arrive and hope to get some information from them as well. A question a lot of folks have, and reasonably so, is what does the air quality look like because of this fire? Let's take a quick look at the Harris County Air Quality Dashboard. So sort of the bottom line on all of this is that we are in the green. So that is the good news. It looks to be, whatever it is, relatively speaking, clean burning and everything going straight up. So that's helpful. As Pat has told us throughout the boarding, there's no inversion right now. So that's
Okay, Virginia, let me go ahead and clarify something. It's not that they're not trying to put it out. They have at least 11 different company lines running through there. They got to figure out which one. The issue is if you cut them all off, millions by the minute. I don't, with all those companies, it could be by the hour. I don't know, but it's an exorbitant amount of money that will be cost. And our gas prices are going to go up. There's no doubt about that. But in my humble opinion, I could be wrong, but I live in Texas. I expect my gas prices to jump. We've just got below $3 a gallon. It's probably going to go up above that. So one thing that they do have that we're not looking into is that they do have a checklist of procedures they have to follow each individual line, because sometimes just blanketly cutting things off can cause more problems. So they have to safely detect which line, and then they have to figure out which lines are clear to keep, and then they have to find then they'll shut it off when they know which line is burning. It's not one pipeline. If it was one pipeline, that would be easy. There's 11 of them. So they're doing everything they can. And you don't want to exacerbate the situation by acting too rashly. The worst of the damage is done when it comes to the homes and the surrounding area. That is done. Right now, it's just getting everything under control and bringing the flame and getting it turned off and bringing that flame back down. The biggest concern is the heat that this is generating and the electric lines. So they're addressing that at this time.
It's good, nothing trapping that smoke close to the ground. Our Maria Aguilera is just a few blocks away, where I believe they're going to be setting up a command station, if that's
They
right.
should have already had it up.
Just passing her by. Maria, any updates?
Depends on how far away they are, too.
Yeah, Sherman, we've actually seen about half a dozen fire trucks just pass by here, one from Houston, Clear Lake, a few others. And yeah, we're actually at San Jacinto College, where this is going to be a command post. Law enforcement officials are going to give us an update here. And take a look, just like you said, a few blocks away, and you could see that massive fire burning in the background. We're not even that close, and you can see it just going up in the air, the plume of smoke going straight up. And right now at this college, they are under a shelter in place right now. Students are asked to stay here, to not leave the area, just out of precaution. Other schools in the area, LaPorte ISD said several other schools, especially ones near that fire, are under a shelter in place as well. They said the kids are safe. And of course, evacuations underway, the ones even closer to that fire. Again, we're waiting on official word on exactly what caused
they
this
will.
fire, what they're working on, what they're doing to stop it. And just
My
a little
hearing
while ago,
aids
off
went
camera,
down,
we
so I'm
spoke
trying
to
to. I
a
got a bad
woman
battery
who was
in
at
here.
work, and she actually got notified by officials that this was happening. And then officials went to go and saved her dog and rescued her dog from her home. She took her dog now and is trying to find a place to
They
stay
melt,
for
they
now.
melt. They're
Visibly
they're
emotional
not as
after
concerned
getting
about
that
it.
news and
But you can see by his
reuniting
gear,
with
he's
her
got
dog
the
from just leaving
oil
work as soon as
on.
she found out about this fire. Again, we are here and we're going to stay here until we get the latest information on exactly what caused this fire. But for now, Sherman, I'm going to toss it back to you.
All right, Maria, thanks. We are looking at an Air 11 shot to the right of the screen. We just saw a looks like a little vehicle that just made a very sharp U-turn. That may be a civilian who decided maybe he was going the wrong way. Our Troy Kless, we left him last at the Brook Glen subdivision. That's the one that borders that fire. I believe he has actually moved closer towards that pipeline fire and is joining us now. Troy,
sorry guys, I got to get my hearing aid batteries done. They died.
Sherman, thank you. Yeah, we are just on the opposite side of the fences from that nearby neighborhood, and this is our closest view that we've been able to get of the fire since we arrived here. So not only can you see the fire closer, but you can also just hear. You can also
Are you kidding
hear
me? These all can't.
just
There goes.
amount the fire.
I thought I was going to have a bad day.
Sky. And what we can see right now, again, we're on a clearing where this is where some of
Let me
the
get reconnected.
can be accessed. And we just saw a little flash there.
Go lay down.
And it looks like a line might have just burst. Possibly. We heard a loud pop, and then we could see. Okay.
Yes, that's the biggest danger right now.
Come
on, you're making me dizzy, dude.
And we can see we're gonna probably go back into the neighborhood here.
Maybe back up a little bit from that, Troy. You don't want to get too close. Maybe one of those transmission lines.
Transmitters.
Combusting because of the heat, perhaps. So you can see that camera moving.
The pop and a flash of light on one of the transmission lines here. Again, that just shows you, again, just how intense the fire is and the nearby impacts. we were talking earlier, we can see there's a line of first responders to come down.
This is one of the closest
And you can
homes.
see they
There's the
are
school.
still in the
So
area
these homes are
trying
going to keep
get a
getting
deal with the fire.
water to keep them from drying out and combusting.
While Troy is getting settled there.
That's a lot
To
of
the
water
right of
they're
your
going to have to
screen, we
pump
have
through.
an Air 11 shot, and you can see at the top of the ladder truck the firefighters pouring water in a jet stream and then also in a spray down onto the rooftops. We're going to let Troy and his photographer get a little bit settled there. They had a bit of a scare, perhaps with a utility line or a transmission line. It sounds like it may have caught fire, maybe arced above them. So they're kind of getting
Why
reset there and
would you be near
gathering their bearings,
any
and you can
electrical
see
line
all
at
of
this
those
point?
utility lines
That is called
just
stupidity.
dropping straight down to the ground. Obviously, those have melted, burned, snapped, and they're just lying on the grass right now. And yes, familiar to everyone who lives in this area, the warning sign.
Why would you be even in that grass? Even though it's green, even though you're back from it, electricity could be running through there. You're stupid. I love news media. Thank you for the coverage. But when it comes to safety, yeah, 3 sheets to the wind. I used to have to deal with them all the time, and you fuss at them and make them get back, and they get mad at me. And I said, I don't care. Get back or go to jail.
It's those little yellow round signs that say petroleum pipeline in the area. Our Jeremy Rogowski telling us that he's counted about 11 pipelines running south to north in that easement right there. So lots of questions as to who owns the pipeline involved and what is burning in it. Our Pat Kavlin joining us now. Pat?
Can you guys hear me? All right, there we go. So again, air quality, the big concern. Let's just reset what we're looking at here. There's the pipeline fire. There's a shot live from Air 11 on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see the flames going straight up into the air, and the smoke is also going straight up into the air. So we've been reiterating, if you've been watching, that this is probably the best case scenario weather-wise for a situation like this, because there's no cap on the atmosphere, which would keep this toxic smoke close to the ground. It's
and
being
the
allowed
heat
to go
high.
up and to disperse into the atmosphere. Obviously, we don't want this in the air at all, but we would rather it disperse than stay near our communities at the ground. So air quality is actually in the green for a good part of this area. This map isn't high resolution enough to get us onto a street level. So obviously this is a little different in the immediate area where this is happening. But for areas that are surrounding LaPorte, kind of concerned, hey, we've got a gas pipeline fire, what's going on? Air quality is not being affected. I know that you're seeing a lot of yellow on this map, but that's very normal for a major metropolitan area to have that during the summer months. You know, you've got moderate levels of air quality.
But bad.
If we can take the chopper shot full behind me, you're really getting a good perspective of what's happening here. We've got tower ladders here on the far right-hand side of the screen, dousing these homes, not because they're on fire, but because the heat from this is so intense that it is causing some of these structures to smoke, and it is causing sheds and the siding to melt. And so what the fire department is doing is they're trying to douse these homes in water to prevent any further damage. And you can see a zoomed in view. This is from the Walmart parking lot now. On the opposite side of that subdivision here. Fire crews are kind of staging over here. Our Troy cluster is somewhere in this area. And you can see there are transmission lines that are running here. So a lot of folks without power. And this is the reason why you've got this fire that's impacting these transmission lines. And so obviously knocking power out to a good part of the area. On the other side of the street, so here's Spencer Parkway, you can see charred ground. And how is that possible? Again, because the heat is so intense that it has actually caused, look at this, the power poles over here to smolder from the intense heat. And you can see where the power poles have already caught on fire. That's why these are smoldering. But it's homes like this here that are about 50 yards away from this jet of fire coming out of the ground that the fire department is out there trying to save right now. So here's one tower ladder. There's another. Here's another one back here. And so it's really a race against the heat from this fire. And I will say this, the good thing is that it's a contained fire where it's in one location, right? So the fire's in one spot, so they don't have to worry about the fire spreading. But look at this, fire crews all the way across the street are dousing this modular home in water. And look at how far it is from the fire. Not only is it across the street, you're probably talking about 300 yards away. And that's how intense this heat is, that it's starting to impact structures that far away. So wide shot, you can see the smoke going all the way up into the air here. And that is a result, again, of no wind. So there's the one good silver lining on that, Sherman. But still, we haven't seen any change in the size of this fire in the last 2.5 hours.
All right, Pat Kaplan, thank you very much. And we are bringing you continuing breaking coverage of the Deer Park pipeline fire. Air 11 over the scene right now. We have been live with this now, for well over an hour, probably longer now, as we monitor the situation out there. So let's get you up to speed. It was just before 10 this morning, around 9:55 a.m., when firefighters responded to this scene. This is going to be off of Spencer Highway near East Boulevard. A little bit of confusion earlier. This pipeline fire officially in Deer Park, but certainly impacting LaPorte as well. They neighbor each other, bordered by Spencer Highway. And so both offices of emergency management have been activated.
Bottom line
right
is a lot more effective.
You are looking at shots from Air 11. Yeah. This is the Brook Glen subdivision, which is just west of the utility easement where that pipeline fire has been roaring now since about 10 this morning for over 90 minutes. And firefighters have been pouring water onto a small East Meadow Pocket Park right
Sneaky,
there.
I hate to say it, but you're
the
true.
rooftops of the
It's
neighboring
so
homes.
true.
Some have already begun to smolder and catch on fire. The East Meadow Street right there that runs through that subdivision has been shut down. The residents are being held back a few blocks away for their safety, of course. Spencer Highway also shut down. Our Maria Aguilera is live, where they will be setting up the command post shortly, and she is joining us now with an update. Maria.
Hi, Sherman. Yeah, I'm at San Jacinto Community College, the central campus, and we're actually told now that that media staging area has moved to another location. We do have a crew going there now to get that information and get the latest, but here they are under a shelter in place. However, we've seen a lot of cars leaving the parking lot, students leaving, not heeding that warning. And here, just blocks away, you can see that massive fire still burning, that pipeline fire. You could see those flames and that plume of smoke going straight up in the air. Those shelter in place orders are for the safety of people because obviously, although we're not right up on the fire, this is still pretty close and it could be dangerous. LaPorte ISD says that several of their schools are under shelter in place as well. They said that the kids are safe. There's no fire at those schools or here at San Jacinto College. But again, that's just out of a precaution. Now we are again seeing a lot of people leave the parking lot here at this campus, and they're going into Spencer Highway, which is the direction opposite from the fire because the other direction is currently blocked off. So they're not really allowing anybody to go there. A little earlier, we spoke to a woman who said that officials went and rescued her dog because she couldn't get back into her neighborhood because there are evacuations in order right now as well in neighborhoods closest to the fire. She was visibly emotional. We spoke to her off camera. She was just too emotional to speak on camera, but she did say that she was just thankful that she got her pet, and now she's just trying to find a place to go. Now the latest that we're going to get is information from law enforcement officials, which we believe is going to be from Deer Park Police. Again, we do have a crew headed that way now, and we will provide the latest information as soon as we get that, Sherman.
Thank you very much. To our viewers there, if you will look to the top right of your screen, there has been some new developments in the firefighting aspects here. So Spencer Highway is the main street that is running across your screen at a diagonal there. And on the south side, across the street from the fire to the left, we just zoomed past it, but there's a fire truck that's pouring water onto some structures now on the south side of Spencer Highway. Previously, they had been concentrating their efforts on the north side of Spencer Highway and to some of the grass here. Also, they're trying to obviously contain the heat, reduce the heat to the rooftops and the structures there. But now they're obviously worried about some structures on the south side of Spencer Highway as well. So that would be a new development in firefighter tactics and approaches. A little bit concerned. There you go. You see it's popping up now to the left-hand side on some of what may be mobile home structures there. All right, our Troy Kless is joining us again. He had moved a little bit earlier. You had a bit of a run-in with one of those power lines. You guys okay out there, Troy?
Yes, Sherman, we are okay and safe, and we are back here on East Meadow Drive, which again, this is where we can still see the fire and first responders on the ground trying to put water on the nearby homes that are in this area. I was just speaking with a woman off camera not too long ago, and she said that neighbors could hear a sound of an explosion, and soon after, you could imagine that people responding as quickly as possible. You know, we did mention that one person had to go in and get their pets. Another woman I spoke to said that she also had to break into her own home to get her dogs out. She said that the dogs were okay, but that the heat from this fire so close by might have impacted them a little bit. And one thing that she mentioned is that she had a grill with a grill cover on the back.
Okay, I want to know something. There is a vehicle right there where my little arrow is.
And she
There's a
said that
vehicle. Where is that person? Because that vehicle looks like it exploded.
grill cover had completely melted to the grill. So that just gives you some idea of just how intense the heat can be so close by. Remember, we spoke to a man named Abel earlier who said that his back fence was charred from the flames. And again, this is just what we're continuing to see, just a massive effort. And I do want to share that, you know, when we were out
Look at that vehicle
in the field earlier, along where those power lines were, we could
Where's that
see
person?
first responders all around, from over to the nearby Walmart to all the way over to this side. Again, we are
Is that a
in
Toyota
East Meadow Drive, and we're looking south, from north to
looks
south,
like my
of where
car.
this fire has been continuing to burn for, you know, again, going on more than maybe several hours at least.
That poor
And
baby
you can see,
exploded.
obviously, a lot of people are sitting back and just waiting with some concern about how their homes are going to be impacted. We can see several ladder trucks.
Their insurance is going to
again,
go up, that's for
continuing
sure.
to douse the nearby homes with water, and we can see just how intense some of that heat can be as well. So again, some people are still concerned and say that, you know, never seen something like this happen in their neighborhood, although they know that they live near an area with pipelines. Again, this is just something that some people probably just didn't imagine. And right now we are just seeing, again, just a large scale.
I'm concerned about the amount of smoke coming from those homes
continuing to burn,
and what's
this
melting.
is what we're continuing to see. And Pat Calvin, you know, we talked earlier when we first talked to you a few hours ago. We
That
could
ain't
see the
looking
flames were
good.
really high, and then now they have actually gradually gone down. But as you see, the fire is still continuing to burn at this point, I think. And we've seen just throughout the morning, just that large plume of smoke just going straight up into the sky.
Yeah, Troy, it looks like, you know, we were optimistic. We thought that those flames were starting to come down maybe a little bit. That's just not the case. And this is so heartbreaking to see right now. It does look like one of the homes here has caught fire. So this is East Meadows Park, right? So the jet of fire that's coming out of the sky is back over in this direction. And it's just the heat from that has started to cause some issues with this home here. So they are trying their very hardest to contain this fire. The last thing that you want is for, I mean, look at how close these homes are together. The last thing you want is for one of these homes to catch fire and then start spreading to other homes. So they are working frantically to preserve the homes that are so close to this jet of fire that has just not, you know, stopped at all. We're now going on about 2.5 hours where this fire has gone totally unobstructed. This is East Meadows Avenue here. So this is the street that Troy was on. He's way down, and just look at what's going on here. So there's the park, and they're dousing that water on that home. I mean, they are trying their best to preserve some of these structures here. I mean, it's really a remarkable job that they're doing here. It's all they can do as well, because they cannot put out the fire at that high pressure gas pipe where we have that leak coming from. So what they are doing is they are doing their
I'm
best to
still
protect
shocked
everything that's around
that
there.
that
Look
thatched
at the smoke coming
grass
from the
roof
here.
is
That is
not
just a product of
ignited.
the heat that's heating up the roof and heating
This
up the
one's a
structure. You can see the
concern.
smoke coming from the front of this house, and so they're really trying to protect what's burning there. If we could do a
This
split
was
screen
going to
on
have
it, let's
damage on the
pause for- let's
inside.
go to weather graphics. We'll just talk about what's going on here. The wind in this area, the good news is very light. Okay, so any of the smoke and the toxic fumes that are associated with this gas line break is going straight up into the sky. If we go back to the full screen with the camera, I'll show you what's happening here.
Sneaky.
And you can see the smoke is just going straight up, right? So just look at the scale of this. So you've got the charred ground here on one side of Spencer Highway, the charred ground going even farther on the other side. That is just from the intense heat catching the grass on fire, which unfortunately is starting to spread to some of these homes. But in terms of smoke, in terms of fumes, in terms of anything that's toxic for the neighborhood, all of it is going straight up. If we had an inversion or a cap in the atmosphere, that would be keeping all of that close to the ground. And we just don't see that happening here, which again, best case scenario for a situation like this, but still heartbreaking to see the homes in this subdivision that are right up against this gas pipe being affected. And even out here, look at how far this is. I mean, you're talking 300 yards roughly away from the fire, and they're having to put water onto these structures, these modular homes, because that's how intense the heat is.
Modulars homes
over
will
there.
go up like
Let's switch back
that.
over to weather graphics.
I'm
full
surprised they
screen if we
haven't
can for a
already.
minute. And I just want to talk about what this looks like. Again, wind is not an issue. And as we go over to satellite, you know, typically with these big fires, you can see it on satellite. So here's Pasadena, there's LaPorte, here's Spencer Highway. So the fire is right about there. And you really can't see anything. Again, smoke is not a huge concern with this fire. So areas that are surrounding it, if you're concerned about that for your family, for yourself, the best news that we can give you right now until this fire is
Most
out
likely
is that
is
the
not.
smoke and the fumes don't seem
And
to
if
be a huge
not,
issue. They
then
are monitoring
the
the air
owner
down
of
there,
the
and so far
pipeline
everything
that's
is in
caused the
green.
fire
It seems
will
to
have
be a
to pay for it.
relatively clean burning fire. But as we've also reported, we don't know exactly what it is that's burning, and we're waiting to get that answer. They're still waiting to get we're still waiting to get an answer on exactly who owns this pipe. So obviously a lot of unanswered questions right now, but the priority is protecting the homes in this area, protecting the businesses in this area, and shutting off the fuel source to this fire, because until they do that, it is going to keep burning. We've got two reporters out there right now. We just spoke to Troy Kless. Right now, we're going to go over to Maria Aguilera. She also has a live interview with someone down there right now. Maria, what's going on?
Yeah, Pat, we're actually at San Jacinto Community College, where students in just the past few minutes we've been seeing leaving the parking lot. And right now I'm actually joined by Joshua Hernandez, who is a student here. He's been attending this community college for the past 2 years. And you were just telling me actually that they just let you guys know that you guys could leave because you guys were under a shelter in place.
Yes, we were at first, but obviously as the fire kept going on, it got worse and worse, and they're scared for our students. Obviously, they care for our safety. So the biggest thing is to just let us out earlier now, because obviously our safety comes first, which I appreciate my school for doing that for us. Obviously, this fire is getting rapidly bigger, and I see that right now, especially with the wind coming in, as you said earlier. So it's not a good thing for the situation to be happening for us. Hopefully, everybody's okay.
Yeah. What were your thoughts whenever you first found out that there was a fire, how close it is, and when you actually saw the flames, because it's massive?
Yeah, at first I was in my my accounting class, obviously, and first I thought it was like a house on fire, maybe something small, but as we saw, it kept getting bigger and bigger. I didn't know about it because my first class was in philosophy, so we couldn't see the fire from there. But when I got to my second class, I saw the fire and it's getting bigger and bigger, and that just scared us, obviously, because we're like worried about people over there. We're thinking it's gonna come down, but it didn't. So I hope everybody's okay over there, and I hope people are not having any issues evacuating.
And you were telling me
That is so
thankfully
true,
your family
Sneaky.
actually lives in the opposite direction, because I know that neighborhoods there.
Okay, that's something that we definitely need to, I wanted to bring up. Even though the structure may look fine on the outside, the heat is going to be so high in those homes closest to this that they're going to have a lot of melted plastic. If they have fish, the temperature may get too hot. Those that are super close. But then the reason why they're trying to get the pets out of the homes is because it becomes an oven. And air conditioning units are probably going to have an issue. So, yeah, these poor people are going to have some damage, and they're going to have to relocate until it's fixed, because these homes that are closest, especially the ones they're pouring water on, they're going to have problems.
And families are being evacuated right now because of this massive fire. Families okay right now?
Yes, ma'am, they're fine right now. They actually called me multiple times, but I had my phone on silent because I was doing a test, so I forgot about that. But everything's fine over there, and I hope people over there, especially over there right now. I mean, that is just a scary situation for anybody out there. I hope
Modular
prayers
homes
to everybody
will
out there who's
combust a whole
okay,
lot quicker than the
who doesn't
homes that are
harm. I
made
hope
of
things
brick
are
and
fine,
or solid
and I
material.
wish the best for anybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, technically, I mean, really a scary situation right now. And so now, are you headed home because you guys were just asked to leave now after that shelter in place?
Yes, I'm heading home right now. Everybody's heading home. All the shops are closing. Obviously, you can see over there traffic going on because everybody's gonna go home. And I hope that people get home easily and safe. Obviously, I hope people. I know some people who live over there, so it will be a little difficult going over there. But I hope they're safe still.
Do you know if nearby roads are blocked off? Because I know obviously we see in that direction there's a lot of traffic.
There's a block off road over there, actually in the front of the building. So they're trying to mostly have the people go over here, not over there. Obviously, that's where the fire's at.
Yeah.
So they're trying to have safety for our students and the people who are trying to leave the campus.
Yeah, because we're actually right next to Spencer Highway, and Spencer Highway is shut off in the direction of the fire. So there's actually a lot of traffic going in the opposite direction. But thank you so much, Josh. It was really nice meeting you, and I hope that you get home safe. Thank you. So as you can tell, that was a student here who's been coming to this campus for 2 years. Thankfully, he says his family is okay. They're actually in the opposite direction of the fire, but we know that where Troy is closer to that fire, there are families that have been evacuated. But right now, we actually, just a few minutes earlier, we saw like a dozen fire trucks coming in and rushing into the area, several of them from the Houston Fire Department, at least a couple from Clear Lake. So of course, this fire, you could see here, still burning behind me. And of course, we are now waiting just on official word on what exactly caused this fire, but we'll provide that information to you as soon as we get it. Sharon Min.
All right, Maria, thank you very much. Yeah, mutual aid certainly in progress as different area fire departments stream in to assist. Hey, we also wanted to let folks know there are Pasadena ISD school students who attend classes at the San Jac Community College, where Maria is at, and those students should report to Building 20. Pasadena ISD buses will then transport those students
Oh,
to
you
their
poor
high school
thing,
campuses.
Kristen.
So those Pasadena ISD high school students will have a way back to their home campuses since the San Jacinto Community College is now closed for the rest of the day. All classes and activities, of course, canceled, and employees there should plan to work from home, do some remote work there as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look
One of the
at
big thing
some of
is
the
this power line.
viewer video that has been sent to us throughout the morning. These are always very interesting, giving us sort of different perspectives of a situation. This is going to be from Bill Warford, and he is a little bit further back. His shot showing us the plume of smoke climbing up into the sky there, and that's a little bit different angle than we've been able to see before.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, some people think bring rain and all of that, it will help. No, actually, it makes it work because the clouds create a ceiling and the smoke will come up and then circle down and come up and circle down. As it does that circling, the air quality goes down, but the heat intensifies. So they're pretty much an open ceiling, as they call it. So those plumes can go really high and all that smoke the higher in the atmosphere, the better. So, um, they actually have it good. As you can tell, there's not a strong wind. It's just going straight up like a chimney, which is for them the best scenario at this point. It is concerning about that car, although they have said nobody was injured. But I would say we have one fatality of a vehicle. I don't know when that was, Christy. I'm sure it was a nightmare. I'm sure, Kristen, it was a nightmare. So, that's why they're focusing on the weather. They're watching for the winds to make sure the winds do not change. That can cause a lot of problems as well. But the biggest thing is keeping that cloud cover open. And I don't have their weather in front of me. I'm gonna pull it up in a minute.
So As dramatic as the fire is, and it is, the smoke column even larger and taller going up into the sky there. Let's take a look at what's next. We have some more viewer video. This one is going to be from Carol De La Rosa. Looks like she is in a parking lot shooting across as well through the trees there. And man, that hot orange fire is really something not just to look at, but to feel. Our Troy Kless had been about a half mile from that fire earlier, and he could feel the heat. And to the right of your screen, our Air 11 shot, you can see the blackened, charred vegetation, the grass along that easement. That is simply from the heat of the fire. At some point, it'd be fascinating to know how many degrees that temperature is, but we don't know that right now. Let's take a look at our next viewer video. This is shot from cell phone. Andrea Villarreal, she is driving by. Oh, we've seen that Whataburger, which is just slightly east. Then there's the Walmart, where we know is right next to the fire. And then she is coming up on to the pipeline fire itself. Look at those trees just melted over the power lines. She is driving right past that fire. This is going to have to be obviously before authorities shut down Spencer Highway. It's been closed for a while now. So she obviously got there a little bit earlier, but that's really dramatic. Look at the canopy of those big trees, just melted over like so much wax onto the power lines.
Yeah, there's no
And
cloud
we've
coverage
actually
or anything
seen
right
some of
now.
those power lines that ran down the easement crossing Spencer Highway. Those have all completely melted and now just dangle onto the ground, onto the grass, and onto the street itself. All right, our last piece of video now is from Billy Warford. Yeah, we saw that a little bit earlier as well. So big column of smoke going up into the sky. Wow, look at that. How dramatic. Just pouring straight up into the sky there, like a top or a cap almost that just keeps going from this pipeline fire that began sometime before 10 this morning. To the right of your screen, you'll continue to look at Air 11 shots, the Brookglen subdivision on the right of that fire. And despite the best efforts of firefighters there to protect the homes, and they probably have prevented a lot of damage, but some of the homes have been lost. And you can see the smoke there. The water is actually pouring through
That one right there,
the
those
gap
right
in the
there
roof
probably
now
lost. You're
because
right.
the fire, the smoke has burned it through. All right, we are going now, I think, to Troy Kless, who has another resident there in the Brookglen subdivision. Troy.
Yes, that's right, Sherman. Thank you. So I am here with Jennifer, who was home at the time, and you were just telling me, what did you hear? What did you notice?
We were in the closet in the master bedroom, so we didn't have any windows where we were at, but we heard like a big kind of a rattling and a bang. It sounded like something upstairs had fallen. So my husband was like, "What was that?" And he rushed out to go see what was going on. And when he got out there, I followed behind him, and you could see everything in the house just shaking, like rattling, and you could hear it sounded like a jet engine because it was just a lot of pressure and force, like you could just hear something. So he walked to the front door, and when he opened the front door, he was like, "Oh my God," he was like, "We've got to go, like get the stuff, like get your stuff, we got to go." So we ran and find the keys to the car, tried to get out. We tried to grab our dogs, and they took off on us. But fortunately, one of the police officers was able to get my sister-in-law back into the neighborhood to retrieve them. So we've got them now. But it just sounded, we thought that an airplane had crashed. That's how bad it wasn't even, we didn't hear an actual explosion. It was just, as soon as we walked out, we could see fire, and it was just a terrible sound, just a terrible sound.
So these two homes, possibly the three, are gone.
My nerves are shot, definitely. I've, just been, my biggest fear was we couldn't find my father-in-law. So he had left about 20 minutes before all this occurred. And once we started calling him, we were in fear that he may have been on the other side at the Walmart in that parking lot, and we were just worried that he wasn't answering the phone. But luckily we were able to track him down and find him. So since then, things have calmed down a little bit for us, and we were, knowing that we have our pets and we're here and we're safe, things are a little bit better, but definitely my nerves are shot today.
I can't even imagine how close is. We'll step out of the way here for the fire truck to come by. How close is your home to the fire?
So we're about
Dude, back
60
up.
yards,
Get the
from
cameras out of the
fire.
road.
There's a
Hello.
park across the street from us, and that park is, directly behind where the explosion happened. And it was already on fire when we were trying to leave the house. And then right now, from what they've told us, the fire has jumped and it is burning, or something is smoking on the other side of the street, next about 2 doors down from where our house is at. So we're not sure exactly how close it is to our house, but definitely about 60 yards from where the explosion happened.
You able to get all of your loved ones, your pets, out of your home safe? How concerned are you for your home right now?
Homes, they can be replaced. The things, there are some sentimental things in there from my nephew that passed away a few years ago. And definitely that's not something that we want to lose. But just knowing that we're all safe and that our pets are safe, like, that's the biggest relief. Material things can be replaced, but lives cannot.
Lives can be, we're all here, we're all safe. Yeah. And that is the most important thing at the end of the day. I know, so you being so close and seeing this firsthand and hearing it, what was the response like when this fire occurred from what you could see?
I really couldn't, I tried immediately whenever we walked out the front door and saw what was going on. I tried immediately calling 911, but I don't know if it was just from the explosion, but I wasn't able to get through. So as soon as I dialed 911, it just cut the phone off. And then we saw that there was no power. So then 911 started calling me back, but it was putting me on hold. So they were like, we received a call from you. Please go through the prompts. And, if you have an emergency, press 1. And I would do that, but it was just leaving me on an internal loop. So I hung up. But within probably the time that we got in our car and left through the back of the neighborhood, we could already hear the first responders with the sirens coming, but we just, I don't think they knew what was going to happen once they got there, so definitely it seems we've kind of been driving around town because we had to go get stuff that we didn't have. But we've seen, first responders from all areas, from LaPorte, from Pasadena, coming on all directions this way to respond to what's going on over here.
So just tell me again, you mentioned your home 60 yards away from where the fire is still burning at this point. Just describe to me when you see describe what you saw when you walked out of your home.
I basically just saw a huge flame. And there was also one thing that's not happening right now that was happening when the explosion first happened, is there was like brown smoke burning to the side of where the black smoke was. So I'm not sure exactly what that was, but that was another reason that we're like, this is a colored smoke, and definitely don't want to be anything around burning that's colored. So our initial reaction was to try to get out of there as fast as possible. But the flame, it seems to be almost at the same as it was when it first happened as it is now. So I'm not sure that it's changed much. I seems like at times it gets bigger, but it was definitely as high as it is right now in the sky whenever it first happened. So definitely a jolting experience, walking out of your front door.
Jennifer, we appreciate you sharing that experience as well. We hope that, that again, we're glad that your family and that your loved ones are safe, and we appreciate that as well. So, Sherman, just want to say thank you again for, again, this is what we're continuing to see right now here, that, again, just this fire continuing to burn. And again, you just heard Jennifer mention her home was 60 yards away, and she said it sounded like a jet engine was powering up, that you could just feel the pressure, or you could hear that pressure. So again, we are just continuing to watch the response here, and so we'll Sherman, we'll send it back to you, and we'll keep you posted as things develop here within this neighborhood.
All right, Troy Cliss, thanks. Out in the Brookglen neighborhood there. We're back here in the KHOU 11 newsroom. Sherman Chow joined by Reka Mudaraj and investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski. You know who owns the pipeline and what is burning.
3 hours after the fire broke
right.
out, yes, we do. The
Finally.
pipeline is natural gas, and the company who owns the line
Clean.
is Energy Transfer. That is the company, and I'm reading a statement now from the Media Relations Department at Energy Transfer. They said that this occurred at a valve station, and the pipeline was a 20-inch natural gas liquids line that resulted in the fire. No reports of injuries, the company says. A couple other points of note. They say that the line has been isolated so that the residual product can burn itself out safely. However, the company does not have a timeline at this point on how long that process will take. So it sounds from this statement, ladies, that they were able to isolate. And in fact, we got other information from the Harris County Judge's Office. I think you can chime in here. They lowered the PSI, pounds per square inch, on this line from 1,400 down to 200. So hopefully,
That's
as time goes
huge.
on here in short order, we're going to begin to see that towering flame decrease. Yeah. One other point in this statement from, again, the company Energy Transfer about this 20-inch natural gas line. The company says, quote, "We are aware of early reports indicating that an unknown passenger car entered our right-of-way and struck the valve location." So the company's not confirming that's the case, but saying, quote, again, "We are aware of early reports that perhaps some passerby
maybe
car
that vehicle
struck that valve at this location."
And that is a vehicle that we saw in very close proximity to that pipeline.
And it was completely charged.
Completely charged, yeah.
And I'm wondering if maybe we can ask Air 11 if they can zoom in.
Is there
the
somebody
helicopter
not
can
alive in it?
Zoom in just a
And
little
it's
bit
now
so folks
ash?
can see that vehicle.
Is there natural
because
cremation?
The front
That would be
of
horrible.
Of the vehicle, you can see it had collapsed. It looked like it was impacted by the explosion. So the front, the hood crumpled, charred black, smoking.
Okay, I think they're going to do that. If they do, I will get
as well. I don't
him
think we
big in it.
expected that. It's a very new information here from Jeremy Rogowski saying that we now know several hours later that it's Energy Transfer that owns it. We knew that there were about 11 pipelines along that easement, right? So it was probably particularly difficult to identify.
Yeah, you'll recall that map from the Railroad Commission was sort of a spaghetti model, if you will, with a bunch of green lines. We identified at least 11 companies. And how we got this information is we reached out to them all, myself and our investigative producer.
I'm going to embiggen this so
And
you
several
can
people
see it.
said, "No, that's not us. That's not us." And we just kept going down.
There.
Yeah, there's that list. You can see all of those
Oh,
green
here they are.
squiggly lines. Each one represents a different pipeline, many of which contain a different chemical product or petroleum product in there. But again, we now know a 20-inch natural gas liquids line owned by Energy Transfer. We're going to be digging into this company as well. But the company, again, saying it appears that this was an act, or at least they're aware of early reports that an unknown passenger car entered the right-of-way. It's interesting, if we can go to a wide shot here, we've been looking at this from Air 11, ladies, is that Spencer Highway is just to the south of this location, and it doesn't appear to be more than, what would you say, 50 yards, perhaps 100 yards. So the obvious question is, what was a car doing there, right?
Yeah, and we're reporting no injuries at this time, but it's unclear who was in the car, what was happening there. So I'm sure more information will develop in the coming hours. But at least we now know the company and the gas that is burning.
Correct. And again, the line, and to quote the company, has been isolated so that the residual product in the line can safely burn itself out. Additional information coming from Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo's office, who spoke with Deer Park's Mayor Jerry Mooten. Jerry Mooten tells the judge that confirms
one firefighter treated on scene. Lord bless you.
That the biggest risk
keep
is
you
just
safe.
the constant heat, obviously, and that coincides with what Pat's been saying. Fortunately, we got some good weather patterns going on. That wasn't a risk.
Thank
outside
God.
of the heat and those structures nearby.
Yeah,
And
look at that
again,
poor house.
that
Do you
the
know why
PSI
that?
pounds, the pressure in that line has been dramatically reduced this coming.
Do you see what's happening to that house? That's because the shingles are being blown off by the pressure of that water trying to keep it wet.
The office of the Deer Park's mayor, and again, Energy Transfer, the company, saying that the line has been, quote, isolated. So now what's burning is residual product.
So that is definitely good news.
That's
and
good
that
news.
PSI reduction percentage-wise, pretty dramatic. We do want to let folks know also that at 1:30, we're expecting a press conference from authorities to kind of get us all up to date. I think the Harris
That
County
would be-
judge will be there as well. But we want to go ahead and do what we call a reset to get started. Bring folks up to date if they are just joining us. This fire.
I'm going to
beginning
zoom
Stay safe and hope that your parents get safe.
because they're
there as
going to have
well.
a,
Well, thank you so much.
any
Ethan. It
minute
was
they're
really
going to
good
have
meeting you, and I
a
hope that your home
meeting.
stays safe, your parents are safe, and that you have a place to go for now at least. And we're all hoping that this fire dies down quickly. We are going to be getting an update here soon around 1:30. That's what we're hearing, that we're going to be getting
Okay.
an update from Deer Park.
Currently, right now, it is a natural gas line. They've named the company. They have reduced the PSI from 14,000 to 200 as to allow the residual natural gas to burn off so they can get in and cap it. And they're getting ready to have a news conference.
Police here, St. Jack Community College is closed now for the rest of the day. We're told that employees are going to be working from home. The flames, you saw them, they're still burning a little bit less than they were earlier, but I mean, that fire is massive, and the fact that you could see it still from here is a pretty big deal. It was mutual aid. We saw Houston Fire Department come in, Clear Lake Fire Department as well. Now we're just waiting on officials to confirm reports on what exactly
There
caused
is a
this
vehicle
fire,
that may
and
have
if there
struck
is
it.
a timeline of when it's going to be put out. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you in the
The
studio.
remains may
All
be
right, thanks,
ash now.
Maria.
We don't
And
know.
just a
Right
quick
now,
note
there's
that
no
there are some
reported
Pasadena
injuries.
ISD seniors, high school students who attend classes at
Oh, this snap it. I want to
fires
do here.
and natural gas fires like this in our area. But
I want to zoom back for
Come
just a
in, Clear
second.
Lake Fire Department as well. Now we're just
I
waiting
want
on
you to see
officials
the vehicle.
confirm reports on what exactly caused this fire and if there is a timeline of.
See that vehicle? They think that caused it. Reported, possibly. And if so, did the person get away? If not, we have a DOA.
When it's going to be put out. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks, for Maria. And just a quick note that there are some Pasadena ISD seniors, high school students, who attend classes at the San Jack Community College. They have been
That
sent
vehicle
to
right
building
there
number
may have
20, and
caused it.
Pasadena ISD is sending a school bus to transport them back to their home campuses.
I can't believe
so they
that
can get
pole
back,
has
you know,
stayed
back
up.
to
That's a
classes,
metal
back to
pole.
their families
Look at
at
it
the end
burning.
of the day.
yeah, pretty wild.
You
to
can
that
see the
intense fire
plume
burning
is
behind
getting
Maria and the
thinner,
student that she was
not so
interviewing.
thick.
I mean,
So it's
hopefully,
starting to affect
we
the
are going
burnout.
to watch that flame get smaller and smaller. What's burning now
If he's
is
alive, Ed.
residual natural gas after Energy Transfer lowered the PSI on this line from 1400 to 200. It'll still take a while, but it sounds like things are going in the right direction. Also tough. We're familiar with it when we see chemical fires and
Yeah,
natural
that's
gas
true
fires like
too.
this in our area.
Very well could
But
been.
you see a huge fire and you would hope that firefighters would be putting stuff on the fire, but instead they are putting water on the homes there because the heat is so intense. They don't want anything else melting.
Water would do nothing to this fire except for create steam.
Or burning. We see that back fence on a lot of those homes that lines up right with that easement have
There
already
has been a
melted. And then,
firefighter
of
who
course,
has
the
received
car in
injury
question
or
that
has
is
been
very
treated,
close to that
possibly
pipeline,
heat exhaustion
that
or
the
smoke.
company is saying Energy Transfer is calling a unknown passenger vehicle.
One's
that is there.
critically
So
injured.
hopefully,
Okay.
At 1:30, now at 1:31, hopefully in the next few minutes, we'll have officials gather and give us an update on what exactly is going on. Of course, we'll get that briefing live from Deer Park Police Department where authorities are gathering there.
Yeah, and kind of interesting if you take a look at the center of your
No,
screen.
you're correct. She was in a closet with her husband. It felt like an
Standing
airplane.
there to the right, and you can see all
She said it felt like an airplane had crashed.
that have obviously melted, and they're just draped down onto the ground there.
But look at the
And then to
fences
the
all laid
left,
down.
We've got an Air 11 shot of the vehicle in question, which Energy Transfer is described, I guess, as a civilian vehicle. We presume they're trying to distinguish that as not being an employee or a contractor, perhaps, but that vehicle clearly quite close.
Okay, it sounds like our news conference is starting. Let's go live now to Deer Park Police Department.
Situation. He was making sure that any resources that we needed from the state on down are being extended. Let me start out with the most current information that we have is that the pipeline is owned by Energy Transfer. The fire is contained to the extent that we've got a perimeter set up, and some levels of evacuation have been conducted, and the pipeline source is being shut off, and there's a time frame that's going to be extended to hours, I will just say, on how long it's going to take for that product to be burnt off. We've got evacuations that have occurred, which many of the surrounding businesses, there's too many to list, but HEB, Walmart, we've got 2 schools.
No, you
Heritage
don't.
Elementary, College Park Elementary. We've got shelter in places for
Mhm.
James Baker and San Jacinto College. The Jimmy Burke Activity Center on 13th Street is set up for any of the evacuees or people in the impact zone that need a place to go. Partners that are working with
Red
us
Cross
in this
is involved
situation
already.
is LaPorte to Pasadena, Harris County Fire Marshals, Harris County Pollution Control, the Deer Park Fire Department, Pasadena Fire Department, LaPorte Fire Department, and we have constables here from Precinct 8. We've got Tatum here. So all the resources that can be extended are here and present. Again, we're just in a containment mode to any of the facilities that are in close proximity. As you can see with the cameras, that the fire is, it's very hot. So a lot of the house structures that are adjacent to that are still catching on fire, even though we're putting a lot of water on them to try to control that. I'm sure as we go through the day, there's representatives from Energy Transfer that will be here to start assisting and working with anybody that's displaced, and we'll be putting out that information here shortly in a press conference on where anybody that's in the impact zone, which roughly is about a half a mile from proximity to the fire itself. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that? Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
The cause is under investigation, and it's way too early to speculate exactly.
Mayor, right now, how many injuries, if any, do you your first responders?
Got that. We have one fireman that had minor. There's one fireman that's been treated for minor injuries. So far, that's it that we've treated through our EMS.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the rotation of the first responders right now? Obviously, it is very hot outside. Obviously, this fire is really big, shooting up hundreds of feet in the air. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys are approaching this response-wise?
Yes, we've been in contact with the command staff on scene, and they have requested that we send some buses out there for rehab of the firefighters. We've done that and coordinated that through our Parks and Rec department, and we have now set up those buses sitting in a parking lot in the area so they can go over there and rehab as needed.
Okay, let me explain rehab. They're going to have to start rotating these firefighters in and out because the heat is so intense. They can heat stroke very easily, so they need to get electrolytes, fluids. They need to get out of their fire gear and get cooled off and get nourishment before they can go back in. So this is going to be an extended situation, so they're going to have a rehabbing station.
Mayor, have you ever had any issues like this in your city before, seeing a pipeline like this? Obviously, the images are quite jarring for a lot of our community.
Well, we've dealt with a number of things. This is my 12th year mayor, but specifically to this type of incident, no, not specifically.
Mayor, you mentioned that there are some houses that got on fire. Do you know how many houses are on fire?
Right now, there's approximately 5. That is the closest that you can see on most of the video or audio that's being put out there that is being, the fire department is putting water on that to try to keep them from catching on fire.
But did they actually catch on fire, or this is preventative measure?
I think a combination of both.
Correct. Mostly due to the radiant heat coming from the pipeline fire. And, it was light smoke coming up, no major smoke coming off the structures. They were able to get in there and extinguish the hazard.
So the fire, I want to double check, the fire occurred in Deer Park, but I know there's some damage in LaPorte, but I just wanted to double check that. Where the fire took place, that's Deer Park.
Correct.
So the fires that had gone, the grasses and.
He wants to get back out there. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to go back.
Correct. the grass fires on the pipeline right away appear to be contained. Of course, we still have some smoking utility poles, and as they can get in there later on to assess that and get close enough.
That's
to
the least of
fire
our
down
worries.
to be able to extinguish that.
That's the least of their worries. Keeping those homes from combusting is priority number 2. Number 1 is the pipeline itself.
Do you know if this was an explosion, or can you just talk more about the way
We don't know.
to burn grass and burn other things?
Hello,
In
Tracy.
all honesty, until the investigation is complete, we're not going to speculate on anything in regards to the original source or what caused the incident to occur. There's a number of different things, and all that will be worked out after the fire is put out.
Mayor, how hard is to contain this fire at this moment? It's been, 4 hours like that.
Okay, so the product in the pipeline is just going to have to burn off. They've shut the pipeline down, and until all the product that's in that pipeline burns off, it will be hours, if not into tonight or tomorrow. It'll be a while before it goes out, but it's just something that we're going to have to wait until all that's burned out.
And then was it burning?
What?
Do we know what's burning?
It's a liquid natural gas.
And once it actually burns out, I guess we still have to evaluate before you'll be able to let people bring things back in.
That would be a good assumption.
Is there any threat to the environment?
Not to the best of our ability, but I know there's multiple agencies, including the county, that's doing air monitoring. So, but I would not suspect there's any health danger as far as environmental impact, but all that's being monitored.
So you mentioned that it could be up until tomorrow. Is there a possibility that more homes could be affected?
No.
The company's statement had mentioned something about an unknown passenger car that they were struck about. Any knowledge about that?
That's going to all be part of the investigation. It'll get worked out after the.
Going back to our question about the possibility of potentially fire spreading, how are you so sure that it's not going to happen?
It's contained to that one isolated spot. That's what we know. Hypothetically, anything's possible, but we don't foresee that spreading beyond where it's at.
What's your message to the folks that live along that area? We met a woman earlier today. She's very emotional in her car. I have no idea. We later found out that her home was one of the homes that had fire in her front door. Can you just explain what you tell to people in that community that unfortunately are being impacted by this?
It would be concerning to me if I were to know I couldn't go home this evening. So sure, it's going to be a situation that we're all going to have to work together, including with the Energy Transfer Company, to find everyone in that impact zone a temporary situation to make sure they have what they need, whether it be starting tonight. Hopefully, in most cases, as we know through any of these incidents, family is going to play a major role in giving places a short term for people that are displaced. But there will be some that are displaced, whether it be directly from the fire or potentially from power outages, because through that area is also a main distribution line of power. So all of that will be dealt with and mitigated to the best of our ability.
Is the Red Cross assisting you all with any of that?
To the best of my knowledge, I haven't had any communication with Red Cross. Most of it is just dealing with the county itself.
Yeah, how many total homes are?
Red Cross, the fire department. Okay.
Count on that. That's probably.
Okay. Just so y'all know, mayor does not call Red Cross normally. I mean, they can, but Red Cross is aware of this. They are prepared for sheltering. They are monitoring this situation. I was with the Red Cross for 15 years. I did disability integration, mass sheltering, and other things. So part of the planning team as a disability integration specialist, so I know how this process works. Most likely, the fire chief has contacted the American Red Cross. The mayor probably has no idea. Could work differently in their department.
Just guessing, and like straight evacuated was probably 50. The ones that are going to be impacted by it are power from, it's going to be.
Red Cross will be meeting with them. So just so you know, if you ever have a disaster like this, or natural disaster, and you can't go home, American Red Cross will give you so much money per person per night in a hotel for, I think, up to 3 to 4 nights, depending on the situation. Normally it's 2. Like I said, depending on the situation, they will also give you funds for clothing for a couple of days, replacement of toiletries. If you have babies, they will give you funds to help with formula or whatever you need. It is a mathematic ratio. But in the houses that I dealt with, I was also a DAP responder, disaster assistance responder, and we go to the fires and we would do all this and they would get money on a card. Now it's automatically deposited in the bank. So if you are ever a victim of a fire or natural disaster, hurricane, tornado, or something like this, and your home is not, you can't stay in your home and you don't have anywhere to stay, they will help set you up. Also, most fire departments have a fund that they can give a couple $100, or depending on how large the department is, it could be more, to assist with lodging, food, clothing, etc. Now, there is a home that, remember the home that the shingles were missing? Um, the full attic was opened up, and that house is going to probably be totaled. That house is not going to be livable. All that thousands of gallons go running through that home. It's going to be drenched. Mold is going to start setting in real quick. I'm going to share the screen real quick. You can see it right here. Let me get back to it. Let me find the picture of that house because that was one of the best pictures I'd seen of that house. Why can't I see it? Come on. I want to see that house again. Okay, here we go. But these houses that have had the water drenching on them for all day, most likely will not be livable for a period of time until they definitely get in. And I'm trying to skip and find that house. One of the houses is absolutely roofless in the back. I think I'm waiting for it. I think it's, where is it? I can't see it on here. You can see it on the thumbnail. There it is. This is the house right here. It's a goner. All that water flows down and out the house. Or so. Former Red Cross that team member. Yes, they do. Lexi, they do. So am I speaking truth on that, Lexi? Validate me.
Once it's safe, we'll let people back in, but the product has to burn out of that line enough that the temperature gets down where it's safe for people to move back in before we let anybody back in.
Talk to us about the process.
And those people who have been displaced overnight, Red Cross will put them up. They'll either create a shelter or put them in a hotel. So contact the Red Cross.
Talk to us about the process that everything is happening.
We're good.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, once the call went out, our fire department responded. LaPorte Fire Department is right down the street from there too, so they automatically responded. From an emergency management standpoint, I was in contact with the city of Pasadena, Harris County, TDM, and LaPorte. We all started working together and get the wheels rolling on all those type of things. Once the fire department was down there, they coordinated with the EMS for anything, and then they set up a command post, a unified command post, and was coordinating the response from that location. And we also were working with Pasadena, sent us their drone team. So we've been monitoring drone footage from the scene and keeping an eye on things that were going on there.
I've seen officials from Baytown, or fire first responders from Baytown, about how many is all over pretty much as you guys have?
Well, mostly, I know initially from LaPorte, Deer Park, and Pasadena. And we requested some assistance from SEMA, Channel Industrial Mutual Aid, for some manpower, LaPorte EMS, and Deer Park EMS as well. So I would imagine there's probably a good over 100 responders out there.
Mm-hmm.
Could you identify who you are?
Yeah. I'm Jamie Galloway, the Emergency Services Director for the City of Deer Park.
Yeah, Frank Hart, Assistant Chief in Deer Park.
And I'm Mayor Mouton. It is there, yeah.
closing thoughts, as, you know, obviously we talk about potentially this going into the night, several hours. Will we be able to hear from you all again at some point this afternoon?
Sure, we'll be putting out obviously some press releases as we gather information. This is going to be a whole lot of hurry up and wait narrative. As I know the question that was asked about the personnel on the ground, I'm sure there will be calls for additional personnel on the responders to rotate some people out, because with the heat and in that proximity, I'm sure. So that'll most probably be, the longer it goes, something we'll have to start looking at. Obviously dealing with the energy transfer company, making sure that any of the claims and needs that are going to be coming up here as it goes later in the day are going to be a top priority, making sure that everybody's in the impact zone is assisted in any manner that we possibly can.
I know you're still investigating, but there were a lot of people saying that apparently the fire started due to a car that hit the pipeline. Is there a possibility that that could be the reason?
There's a possibility. We're not going to comment on anything pertaining to the investigation. It's very early in the narrative, so you know the car's there. We know the car's there. We're not for sure in any aspect, so we're not going to speculate on that until we have an opportunity to really lay out what occurred, and it'll all be done after the fire is put out.
The infrastructure of that area, this is from a colleague. Is the manifold secured in any way? Is the gates where it's open access so a car could?
Yes, Sneaky is still an ad.
There was a fence around that.
What do you need, Kristen?
Who's doing the Spanish report?
Not me. We were not prepared to do that. Sorry. Did we run out of questions? Perfect.
Good.
That's the first. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
We'll be here the rest of the day. Obviously,
All right, we just heard from Jerry Mouton and other officials, Jerry Mouton, Deer Park mayor there, saying it could be several hours, possibly into tomorrow, that this pipeline fire will continue to burn. What you're seeing now is residual gas, so that flame will continue to diminish, but it's going to take several hours.
It is demented.
The pipeline owned by Energy Trans.
Okay, as you can tell, it's already thinning out a little bit. So, guys, thank you guys for joining me. I have got homework to get done. I was not planning on going live today. Tomorrow we have the start of the Adelson trial. Donna Adelson is tomorrow. We've got jury selection, I think, tomorrow? I don't know. But I wanted to bring this to you. So it looks like everything is under control. I'm going to leave it at that point. I'm glad I was able to bring it with you. So sorry, I got a deaf person reaching out to me. Thank you, OnlyFan, and everybody, Lexi, Ed, Karen, Sneaky Side. Thank you for hopping in. Kristen, all of you. I can't list you all, but those are the ones that are right here. Mary Kay, Karate Cat Mom. I didn't see your comment. Yes. But anyway, there's a lot of you here. Thank you so much. I always try to bring the breaking news, especially when we're not in trial. Tomorrow starts a big day of trial. Please come and join me. I appreciate it. And you guys try to have a great day. I'm going to sit in this hole. If you notice, I have no lights on. I'm going to try and get my college work done because I got a big paper due and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I know. And so anyway, you guys have a blessed day. If anything should transpire with this, I'll be monitoring it. If they find there's a victim or it gets worse or anything happens, I'll hop back on. In the meantime, y'all go have a great day. It's a beautiful day out there. Sorry, that was a little loud. In the meantime, back to the books for me. Have an awesome day.
breaking news.